What's happening, guys? Today I want to talk about adaptation. I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that adaptation is sort of a bad thing and you want to try to avoid adaptation at all costs. And really, when we're going through our training, the thing that we're trying to do more than anything is trying to cause adaptations. When we go through our training, we want our body to adapt to what we're doing so that it can perform better, and then we just want to kind of keep that increase in performance going all the time. And the only way for that to happen is for your body to adapt. The thing is, you just don't want to stay in the same position of that initial adaptation. So there's kind of a fine line, because when you are training, you need to give your body a chance to adapt to what it's doing. So you're going to go through your training, you're going to increase your stimulus, your body's going to adapt, it's going to have an increase in performance because of this adaptation, and then you need to continue increasing the stimulus over time to make that happen. I mean, people talk about progressive overload all the time, and that's a big part of it. But you can't change things up too frequently either, because if you're constantly changing the stimulus or what you're doing, your body never has a chance to adapt to what it's doing to give you that increase in performance that comes from the adaptation. So you can't stay with what you're doing for too long, but you can't switch things up too frequently either. There's got to be kind of a middle ground there. Now this is where periodization comes into play. Now if you're a beginner or a novice, you don't have to worry about periodization, you just have to go out and train. If you are a complete beginner to training, the training response is so great that you will make really significant progress just by training. So just go out there, focus on technique and form and mastering the lifts and getting better with them, and just increase your stimulus and you'll be fine. Things are going to happen. But as you get more advanced, you're going to need periodization. How you're going to do this and what you're doing it for is completely up in the air, depending on what your goals are and what you're training for. For a lot of powerlifters, if you're going to be a long ways away from a meet, you're probably going to do things with a little bit higher rep range, get a little bit more volume in, and you'll go through what's usually called like an accumulation block or a volume block, and you're just going to increase your work capacity and get that extra volume in. And then as time goes a little bit further, you're going to start increasing your intensity, meaning the weight, and you're going to lower the reps, and you're going to get a little bit more specific, all the way to the point where when you get towards your meet, then you're going to get super specific with your adaptation. You want to be able to lift as much as possible for one rep in powerlifting, so your final block is going to be very heavy sets, low reps, a lot of weight, and you're going to try to force that adaptation at just the right time, so that by the time you get to your meet, you are fully adapted to that and you're ready to hit really heavy weights. The other thing you have to keep in mind is the length of time that your body takes to adapt, or the complexity needed to force your body to adapt, is largely dependent upon your experience level and how long you've been training and what you've been doing. Like I said previously, a novice can just kind of go out there and do just about anything and see really tremendous progress. But if you're somebody who's been training for years and years and years, you need to do something really complex. You're going to have to do a lot more volume, and it's going to take a lot more to force more adaptations, and it's going to take very long periods to do this. Now, another mistake a lot of people make regarding this is they increase their frequency and they increase their training volume way too fast. Especially in the beginning stages, you need to take it slower and increase volume slowly and not do anything crazy. If you jump on a program like Small Off or something that's extremely high volume early on, there's basically one of two things that's going to happen. One, you're probably going to get injured because your body's not used to that type of training yet, and it just can't handle that load, and it's going to get super fatigued and it's going to break down, and bad things are going to happen. And if you somehow get lucky enough not to get injured, yeah, you're going to see significant progress, and your 1 rep maxes are going to go up fast, but you've also set your volume threshold super high now, right off the bat. And you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you can continue to make progress and continue to up your volume so you can keep doing that. Just that, keep making progress. If you set your volume threshold really high right off the bat, and you blow up, well, now your body is already adapted to that really high volume, and you need to add extra stimulus to make further progress. So down the road, it's going to be much more difficult to make progress because of what you did early on, throwing way more training at it. So basically what you should do is do as little volume as possible while still seeing improvement in strength or whatever it is you're trying to do. So what's the point of this video? Well, basically I want to make sure that you understand that you need to stick with something long enough that it's going to show you an increase in performance from the adaptation that occurred. And when you have that increase in performance from the adaptation, then you give it a new stimulus, and then you're going to have adaptation, and then your new stimulus, adaptation. But you cannot just change it all the time, because if you're frequently changing everything you do all the time, your body doesn't know what's happening. It has no reason to adapt to what it's doing because you're not giving it that frequent stimulus that it needs to adapt. So there's a fine line, you got to pay attention to that, and you just got to kind of track your progress and do your due diligence. It's a little bit complex. You need to really kind of understand how things are going, and if you need help to have somebody put your program together, I do recommend getting a good coach. Whether it's me or somebody else, get help. It'll help you way more than you could possibly understand. If you don't understand periodization and how to systematically make improvements to your programming, it will catapult you to the next level. So if you have any questions, as always, leave them below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video.